Hi, I'm Kristen Bell. Carvana makes car buying easy. Isn't that right, hun? Dax? Dax?
Sorry, did you know about this 7-day money-back guarantee?
A week to evaluate seat comfiness, you say?
A week of terrain tests? Yeah, I can test the brake pad resistance at variable speeds.
Make sure all the kids' stuff fits nicely.
Make sure our stuff fits nicely.
Oh,
Right. Still need to buy the car. Getting ahead of ourselves here.
Buy your car with Carvana today.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
This is a More Than Just Podcast production.
All right, welcome to this podcast, Season 7, Episode 26. My name is Tim Mitra. I am still in Toronto, Ontario, and I'm joined by Jonathan Kuline, who is still in Jacksontown, New Brunswick.
Hello there, kids.
And of course, Jaime Lopez Jr. is in Seattle, Washington.
How's it going?
Tazuni. All right, it's going pretty good, all things considered. But, all right, I'll stop talking now. Just a bit quick, one follow-up from, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, but John Grease was also Uncle Rico. Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The guy that throws the football too hard.
Trying to sell the Tupperware and stuff like that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And he's the bad guy on White Lotus, right?
Well, is he the bad guy? Is he?
I may or may not have had his wife killed. Spoilers.
Well, yeah. I thought it was his friends who decided to do that. Or do you think he went to the States and had it arranged?
Yeah, I think that's what we're supposed to infer from season 2 is that he had it arranged in order to gain access to the fortunes of his now late wife.
But I thought he didn't sign a prenup or something.
Well, he didn't, and that's why he got all the money.
Oh, so no, I thought he did sign a prenup or something. It was something about the prenup in there.
Yeah.
I don't know, I just get the general impression prenups are not a good thing to do. Anyway, let's move on to the headlines. Jonathan, you're up first.
Yeah, well, we're a Star Trek podcast. Let's talk some Star Trek. The first trailer, admittedly a teaser trailer, for Season 3 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds hit the interwebs this week. And it's a bit of a whirlwind. It is a very fast-paced, lots of quick cuts, but lots of interesting visuals to look at. And it looks like it's going to be a rollicking 10-episode season, and they confirmed that it's coming this summer. So stay tuned, Spockcast fans. Your favorite trio are going to be there to cover all kinds of good Strange New World stuff. It's probably favorite 1A, 1B with Lower Decks as far as the new Trek stuff. So should be cool. Did you guys both have a chance to watch this, and what were your impressions?
Yeah, I watched it. It was a bit of a sort of modern Buck Rogers kind of 50s retro sci-fi look.
Yeah, it's Flash Gordon. I was getting Flash Gordon.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Flash Gordon. Yeah, Buck Rogers. Yeah, Buster Crabbe. I was thinking of who played Buster Crabbe played Flash Gordon, I believe. And Ming the Merciless and all that. Mm-hmm. I have to be careful because there's a 70s version of Flash Gordon, let's say, that I saw.
Yes. I'm familiar with that
judgment.
One. Yeah.
Yeah, and with the claymation, yeah, that was pretty cool. But leave it at that. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Kind of bounces around a bit, like you said. We had that sort of teaser trailer that they put out a couple of months ago, that sort of showed them all in sort of Klingon, Romulan garb, I guess, right? Yeah, so which is a throwback to.
This one's got it's got a real kind of throwback, not just to sort of classic science fiction, but it's kind of got a throwback to kind of classic Star Trek. It's kind of got a 60s feel at different times. The wardrobe, the hair, the costumes and stuff like that. Looks like there's going to be a lot of sort of, all over the place kind of adventures. At one point, they're networking the Enterprise with telephones. which is kind of a strange visual. Jaime, what did you pull out of this that you like?
Yeah, they've got some kind of interesting things. Folks were maybe a little thrown because a lot of it does seem to be focused on the, one or two episodes that do something weird and wacky, like, everybody's singing because of this anomaly. Okay, cool, right? That's the premise. And they think whatever is impacting them, where they got to use old school metaphorical technology to solve their problem. Like, okay, that's probably not the entire season. It's probably not even more than one or two episodes that have some of these things in there. I think you're going to see a lot of the, traditional stuff that we're used to. I'm not really concerned. I feel like they had a pretty good balance in previous seasons. So you're going to get your pew pew pews. You're going to get Spock and Chapel. You're going to get, some really cool stuff with the Gorn, it looks like. So I'm enthused. I am less enthused, like, coming this summer. Like, what are you talking about? It's April. You don't have a date.
How about a day? How about a day did you pick out?
A month. I would accept a month. Coming this August. All right. August, fine. Cool. Who knows?
Yep. Well, it wouldn't be summer without us trying to figure out how we're going to record while otherwise trying to keep ourselves busy in the summertime, right? Yeah, again, it looks, I think we've all really taken to this show because it is telling really fun, fantastic stories. They really seem like they're having a great time doing it. There's great cast chemistry. Obviously, we ended season 2 on a bit of a cliffhanger, and they're going to do their big rescue mission around the Gorn invading this planet, so that's going to have to get resolved. But yeah, honestly, what this trailer gave me was Doctor Who vibes. It kind of gave me that kind of a little bit campier, more colorful, sort of tongue slightly in cheek, but also an element of danger kind of thing. It really did have a kind of Doctor Who kind of feel to me, and I didn't mind it. I certainly have enjoyed the not over the top campiness, but the light campiness of that in Star Trek again. So yeah, it was good. Well, let's move from Star Trek to Star Wars, and we got another trailer this week, a bit out of the blue, but not unwelcome. Star Wars: Tales of the Underworld. So in the tradition that has now started, this will be the third straight year that on May the 4th, we're going to get a new animated series on Disney+. We did get the Tales of the Empire last year. The year before that was Tales of the Jedi. This one is going to focus on Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane, two bounty hunter, one a former bounty hunter, one a theoretically current bounty hunter, that are two beloved fan favorites, especially for people who are fans of the Clone Wars / Rebels animated Star Wars universe. And we're getting 6 episodes on May the 4th. I'm excited. I love these characters. Cad Bane's a personal favorite. What'd you guys think of this trailer?
Yeah, Ventress with hair this time, yeah. I like Ventress. I think she was in, I want to say Ahsoka the book, right? Not
She was, yeah.
Yeah. So she was in the Ahsoka series as well. But not the one we just recently saw. Didn't we recently see? Yeah, we saw Rosario Dawson, right? As Ahsoka. Looks good. Looking forward to it. Bane's always, like you said, he's always kind of fun. I think we had him in, was it? What was it he was in recently?
He was in Book of Boba Fett.
As a live action character.
As a live action character, that's right. And we actually did see Ventress come back. Oh, when was that? It was recently. She was in another one of the animated projects. Maybe it was the one with Dooku from last year, from the Tales of the Empire. Because I knew she was back because they had killed her off in one of the novels. And then they decided, I don't know what, she's too popular. We can't just kill her off in a novel. Ignore that, and we'll tell you a different story.
Have you seen all the Rebels and stuff, Jaime?
I've seen Rebels, not all of Clone Wars. I need to catch up on Tales of the Empire. I'm only partway through that, so It's a good reminder for me to finish going through those in time for this.
I remember now. It was Bad Batch. That's where we saw Ventress come back. It was the last season of Bad Batch.
Okay. Yeah, because she comes and helps the Omega, right? Omega?
Omega. Yeah, she does come up at that point. Yeah, that's right. So, yeah. Well, I think this is pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it, and I think it's been interesting to watch too, because I feel like the quality of animation that they put into these little sort of mini-sodes that they do for these tales of are terrific. I remember what a standout the first season was with the Empire, with Tales of the Jedi, and then following it up with Empire. It's almost like the next generation level of animation applied from Clone Wars. It looks like Clone Wars, but it looks even better. So yeah, cool. All right. And last for me, I have some bad news to share. We lost a Batman this week. We lost Val Kilmer. Obviously, a very well-known, very famous actor. Probably best known for Top Gun or Batman Forever. Those were probably two of his biggest roles. Tombstone, obviously, a pretty big hit back in the day. Willow, obviously, a personal favorite.
Mm-hmm. Weird Science.
No, he wasn't in Weird Science. He was
in something of that ilk.
Yeah, he was in Real Genius. Real
Genius, yeah.
Love that movie. So fun back in the day. Heat, of course, an incredible performance. But yeah,
and The Doors. He played Jim Morrison in The Doors.
The Doors, absolutely. There was a huge hit. So yeah, I mean, this guy had a huge Hollywood career. He was 65 years old. Obviously, he was last seen on camera in Top Gun Maverick, which, I think a lot of people were glad to see. He'd lost a lot of the ability to speak due to cancer. He died of pneumonia a couple days ago. And there's definitely been very, very sad, because he had sort of really been out of the limelight for a long time because of his illness and everything. But, I've been kind of enjoying, it's obviously very hard when we lose these people who are parts of our pop culture universe, but it's been really fun to see all the things popping up on social media of all these little clips from all the different things that he's been in, and just, makes you smile and think about like all the joy that he's brought and all the memorable roles. And just, Top Secret, I don't know if you guys remember that from like the early mid 1980s, which is like spy farce, where he just plays this hilarious character. All these little bits keep popping up, and it's been nice to have a little retrospective and remember all the good stuff in spite of the fact that he's gone. So and your mileage may vary, but Batman Forever was a big hit. So yeah. Any reminiscences or memories of Val Kilmer for you guys?
Well, like I said, he was The Doors to me, right? But there was one movie that he did that I'm just trying to find it here. It was really sad. It kind of flopped a bit. Can't find it.
He did a reboot of The Saint at one point, right? That was
that's true.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I think the thing that makes me saddest is that the powers that be at Disney Plus never got around to finishing the Willow story. They brought us, the reboot of Willow, and they kind of teased that he was going to be back. His son Jack actually did the voice of Mad Mardigan, but there was talk that he might show up again if they did a second season. Of course, that never came to be, and now even if they do decide to return to it at some point, he will be there. And Mad Mardigan is such a terrific character that he created. So
there's a documentary about his illness that was on one of the services like Prime or Netflix or something that I saw, and his son actually it's his story. Like he's Val Kilmer's telling the story, but his son reads the dialogue because his son sounds exactly like him, which is why they used him in the latest Willow, right? So
yeah,
too bad. 65, so he's like a few months older than me.
Yeah, sad.
Yeah, he's definitely had that pretty long career. I think everybody was pretty happy to see him in Maverick. His character is quite interesting. Like in the first Top Gun, Iceman is clearly the better, I'm going to say soldier, even though people might nitpick on that, is like, follow the rules, do the mission the way it's supposed to. It's like you want all of the military to be like him, and maybe one or two Mavericks, because you kind of need that sort of disruptive thing, right? And you see, even in Top Gun Maverick, that clearly these two gentlemen diverged. One stayed in the cockpit and just refuses to let it go, and kind of gets to skate along on his skill, sure, but also his buddy who went the other route and became, like admiral or vice admiral or something.
Yeah.
It's and the great question from Iceman is like, so which of us was the better pilot? and Maverick saying, let's not ruin this nice moment. It's great. It illustrates the differences between these two gentlemen, and pretty well portrayed in both the original movie as well as the sequel movie.
Yeah, well, in the sequel movie, they play that Iceman, or Admiral Iceman, is Maverick's guardian angel. He's sort of keeping him employed because he continues to be a screw up, right, all the way through his career.
Not following the rules, right? He starts the movie. Hey, we're not supposed to take this plane to this speed. I think it can do it. Let's do it. And he's going to get drummed out for not following the orders, risking a multi-billion-dollar. Yes, he was right, but that was the wrong decision to make, right? You don't judge it based on the outcome. He based it on the decision making. It was very poor decision making by Maverick. And you're right, Guardian Angel, Iceman, Admiral Iceman saved him.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I liked Maverick, Top Gun Maverick much better than the original Top Gun. I think the same amount of testosterone, etc., but not quite as bad. Anyway, of its time, I guess, too, right?
Yeah, it's hard, almost as much as they're alike, it's hard to compare things that happened almost 40 years apart, right?
What do you got, Jaime? What do you got for us?
The nice folks at Nintendo have let us know that the live-action Legend of Zelda film will be released worldwide on March 26, 2027. It's the only news. It's literally just a screenshot, of a JPEG that they showed on the Nintendo Direct. So we have not seen Chris Pratt presumably in the movie. I'm gonna just assume he's in there until they tell us that he's not.
Is he supposed to be?
He's in everything. I have no idea, Tim, why he was Mario. I have no idea why he was Garfield, I want to say, in live. Granted, those are voice acting.
He was Garfield? Not Bill Murray?
In the latest incarnation, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one that came out within the last 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, okay. I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen any Garfield movies, to be honest with you.
And it's a good day for movies because remember we talked about Warner Brothers killing Coyote versus Acme because tax write-off. Well, I guess it's working out okay now for them because they have sold the distribution rights to Ketchup Entertainment, which I had not heard of, but I'm going to guess Jonathan's going to know because they apparently were the producers on The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, which I think you guys mentioned last time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good news when any artistic endeavor that's been buried for financial reasons almost exclusively sees the light of day. Does this mean that Ketchup Entertainment's going to put in a bid for the Batgirl movie that got buried too?
There you go. It's got to happen, right? Like, it's silly to have these things be like, hey, we produced the entire thing. Oh no, tax reasons, it's better. It's like, no, it's not fair to the artists. It's not fair to the people who gave up their lives, not literally, hopefully, but more like, oh, I can't go to that dance recital for my kid. Oh, I got divorced because I was working full-time overtime on Cody versus Acme. It's and Batgirl. Like it's a travesty, right? Like, yeah, sure, people were paid and stuff, but there's an implicit promise here that you're trying to actually do something, not, hey, you know what? It looks better for the investors if I just kill this thing after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really frustrating stretch there when we saw that reaction, especially when it was happening amidst a merger of corporations and everything else, where it's, again, it's about tax savings, it's about, protecting money, it's all these different things as opposed to, well, the quality of the film. Again, your mileage may vary. I don't know that I'm going to rush to the theater to see Coyote versus Acme, but I will definitely watch it if it pops up on the right streaming service. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just pasted in a quick link here. I saw this afternoon. I was going to add it to the notes, but I skipped it. But there's something called CinemaCon going on right now, which is like an industry rollout. I guess that's where they roll out. I guess people bid on movies. Like we talked about this before, right? But what caught my eye was about Edgar Wright's Running Man is they apparently showed up preview of that, even though there's nothing to see here, folks. Right? That's just why I skipped it. But just some of the movies that are listed in there, like the remake of The Naked Gun.
I saw the trailer for that today. That was funny.
Did you? With Liam Neeson?
Yeah.
And of course, the Mission Impossible, hopefully final Mission Impossible, the one more time thing is Ethan Hunt says in the trailer. We'll see what happens though, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Jaime will be pleased to know the Smurfs movie is coming out, right? New animated Smurfs.
I'm less pleased that there is not a number. I know this is not the first. It's maybe not even the second. It doesn't even have a subtitle. It just says Smurfs.
Just Smurfs. Okay. Yeah.
Is it a reboot? Maybe I'm out of date with the lore
it's
here.
Rihanna, James Corden, Nick Offerman, Dan Levy.
I can't follow the canon.
Amy
Sedaris,
yeah.
Is this the Kelvinverse version of the Smurfs? What are we seeing here?
It's the blue verse.
When are they ever going to get it together so we're not so confused with what's going on in the Smurf verse? I mean, really.
I don't know.
And where's that crossover with the gummy bears?
But is it live action and animated or purely animated? And does Papa Smurf put his pants on backwards one time or what?
That's a different movie. Yeah, I don't know if I saw I put in something from CinemaCon into our conversation in our Slack channel with some of the movies that are coming next year, and it's a pretty stacked.
This image you posted.
Yeah, the stuff that we knew this was going to be a pretty jam packed movie year, but next year, I'll just go through some of the highlights here, but like. Avengers Doomsday we knew about, obviously. We're going to talk about a couple of these things coming up, so I don't want to spoil anything, but Super Mario Brothers 2, speaking of Chris Pratt, the Clayface movie, which is a DC Universe one. We've got a new Ice Age movie, The Hunt for Gollum, The Odyssey, which is Christopher Nolan's follow-up to Oppenheimer. We've got Shrek 5, Supergirl, Hunger Games, Sunrise on the Reaping, which is the second part of their prequel trilogy. Moana 3, Masters of the Universe, Jumanji 3. Jumanji.
I think it's...
Yeah.
Wait, that's right. They did have a sequel to the continuation, didn't they?
Yeah.
And
Toy
Hail
Story...
Mary, which is a follow-up to The Martian, I guess.
Project Hail Mary is it's one of the many Andy Weir projects they've been working on. Apparently that's coming together really well. I'm excited about that one.
So Rosario Dawson did the audiobook, so I wonder...
No, she did the one... did she do it for Hail Mary too? I know she did the audiobook for the other one, the one that's set on the moon.
Oh, Artemis, right?
Artemis was she did that one, and it was terrific. I don't know if she did Project Hail Mary audiobook.
I haven't tried. I should get. I have a credit. I should get Hail Mary and check it out.
Toy Story 5, Mandalorian and Grogu, Scream 7, Street Fighter, Mega Minions,
Supergirl.
Yeah, like it's not a bad.
But no Batwoman.
No sign of a female Bat person character going in there. But yeah, it's going to be another good movie year, which is, I mean, hopefully this year is too. I mean, the last couple of years have been pretty disappointing at the box office, and they, keep getting these looming threats of, is going to the movie theater dead? Well, they're trying their hardest. They're definitely cranking out the familiar IP in a lot of cases here. A lot of numbers next to a lot of things here. Avengers 5, Shrek 5, was this Ice Age 6? See, that'd be Toy Story 5, Jumanji 3, Scream 7. I think they have a sense of what people want in the theater, and that's more of the same.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I'm a little bit behind. I'm aware that Moana 2 is available to stream on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
Seems a little fast to have Moana 3. Is it like a split trilogy, like Back to the Future 2 and 3 that came out, one after the other?
Don't know. I just started watching my Moana the other day. Just catch up.
My understanding is that Moana 2 was originally supposed to be a Disney Plus series, and they basically condensed it into a movie because they realized that it was too valuable an IP to do as a TV show. So maybe it's more of what they were going to do in that season. So it was kind of like in the can as far as the story development or something. I don't know.
It's interesting. It's also in 3D, right? On that thing I keep going on about. But I kind of wonder, like, if I've not seen a TV show that's done in 3D though. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Like if Moana 2 was supposed to be a TV show.
Which one was?
Moana 2 is in 3D on Disney Plus.
Oh, yeah. Again, I don't know if they actually did the animation or if it was just they developed the project and then started cutting it up into pieces. So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I saw a joke about the next story online, but I'll wait till Jaime goes through it.
All right. So the service, just to recap quickly what happened here, the service that people knew as, I'm going to start the timeline at HBO Max, the purple icon on your, app store, on your channels for whatever device that you might have that you use. HBO Max, purple. They decided to simplify it to merely Max, a meaningless, useless name, and then said, you know what? Everybody else is blue. We got a blue icon now too. So they removed that. And then, as we've talked about, they said, you know what? We really want to be more, not really for kids. It's why they're cutting the Warner Brothers, cartoon stuff. We want to be more for adults. And so they continue to be Max, but they gave it the HBO colors. So we've gone full circle on what should just be HBO or HBO Max into a black and white or black and silver icon that says Max.
Yeah, it's got some shading in there too. Yeah,
it's mostly adult stuff. It's like,
yeah,
cool.
They did a joke interview with the designer, and he said, "Yeah, I took out the color." End of interview.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks. I don't know. Splendiferous. It's got skeuomorphism in there now, Jaime, too, which is kind of against the rules these days, isn't it?
Who knows? Because the rumors to cross over with MTJC, the rumors is that I want to say neomorphic. So it's a blend between skeuomorphic, like think of leather stitching in an app, and the flat style that we've seen since iOS 7 that we've had for a very long time now, more than a decade. Supposedly, the rumor is, and we sit here in April, we won't know until June, there's going to be a new, fresh iOS UI design that will be probably neomorphic. So the folks at Max might be sort of steering into the skid or skating where the puck is going, depending on which sort of term you want to use.
Yeah, I hear that there's supposed to be round icons like Vision Pro now in iOS 19. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Well, this is a quick story here. Just saw this came across my feed that Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, which I guess is the third iteration of this animated style, is coming June 4th, 2027. So there you go.
Yeah, I feel like we got kind of sold a bill of goods on this series because I've loved the first two, but then they didn't tell us going in that part 2 was going to be a two-parter, and they left us on the hook. And by the time we get this in 2027, if in fact it comes in 2027, it's going to have been like 5 years between the movies. That's absurd.
So this is still Spider-Man 2, and there's another one coming after this, you think?
No, this is the third theoretically and final part of the Miles Morales trilogy, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, they're giving us this a lot later than I think a lot of us who have been waiting for the cliffhanger to be cliffhung. That's a long time. Now I get that there was obviously some extenuating circumstances. There was the strike and everything else from last year, but that's still, I mean, I don't know. I get that it takes a long time to do this kind of quality production, and they have both. The previous two films have been exceptional, so maybe it'll be worth it in the end. But that is a long stretch to make people wait around on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're talking 2 years from today, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, cool.
Yeah, I mean, look at the look at how much difficulty there is with it. Okay, I think off the top of my head without cheating, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, and I can see this one here that says Beyond the Spider-Verse. I hopefully got that correct.
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3 make it so much easier, but way better than just Smurfs. no number, no title. And we literally just talked about how Moana 2 is immediately followed by Moana 3. Felt a little fast. This one feels way too long, to Jonathan's point. There's a blend here. About 1.5 to 2 years is about good.
Yeah. But my Moana 3 is coming in 2026, though, right? So that's, I don't know if you consider that fast, because it's 2 years, right? So
I guess if 2 came out in 2024, I've not been keeping up with it versus 2025, I guess maybe makes a little bit of a difference.
yeah, well, it's done its 45 days or whatever in the theater, and now it's on Disney Plus now, right? So I'm not sure when it landed, but I think like months ago. Cool. All right, and Jonathan and I have been waiting for this one for a while. Long story of this is, basically the 25th anniversary release of Dogma is coming out in theaters June 5th, 2025. And the story behind this is it was owned by the Weinstein Company, had the rights, and Kevin Smith's been battling to get it back. I think Jonathan has a Blu-ray of it.
I have the original DVD, I have the original Blu-ray, and I might even have the VHS somewhere if I looked hard enough.
I have a Napster download or torrent download of it myself, somewhere in my house. Law enforcement will have to look for it. It was legal to burn it when I did it. So anyway, but I don't think it's quite legal anymore in Canada. But yeah. Anyway, so this is coming out. It's been up-res to 4K. And if you follow Kevin Smith, he is doing in-person theater releases where you watch it with him, and then he'll come out and talk for 3 hours afterwards, right? So yeah, if you're in and around the States, New Jersey, places like that, he's been announcing dates that you can watch this. So it's pretty good. And I've got a link here to the trailer for the 4K version, and I think a lot of people think this is. I think maybe he thinks it's his best movie. I don't know.
Chasing Amy.
Yeah, but he said his favorite.
Yes,
he's allowed to decide.
I did see the same release when he announced it this week, and the one thing he didn't announce in all this is when it's going to finally be re-available on the mass market, like when you're going to get to be able to have it digitally and on re-released on 4K and blah, 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 blah. None of that was announced because I think he wants to obviously have people come and see it live.
As he intended it.
You and I saw it in the theater in 1999 on the day it came out, as I recall. So yeah, like I remember the theater. I remember where we were. I remember exactly where we saw it. But yeah, it's been notably absent from the digital catalog as well. It's not available on any streaming service, and it never has been. It is not available for purchase digitally. You can't. There are no current printings of any of the physical media. So if you go into a collectible store that knows its stuff, if you see the original 2-disc DVD or the Blu-ray version are easily $100 a pop. And when you do see them, they tend to go fairly quickly because Kevin obviously has a pretty good sized fan base. And those first 6 or 7 movies that he did are all loosely interconnected, particularly through the Jay and Silent Bob characters. So it's been kind of frustrating for a lot of fans who are like, hey, I want to sit down and watch, all of the Jay and Silent Bob movies sort of, in a row. It's been like a long time, probably over a decade since you've been able to purchase this. So it's great news if you're a Kevin Smith fan, and also just great news if you're a cinephile, because it is a really good movie and it's got a killer cast. I mean,
Alan Rickman and George
Alan
Carlin.
Rickman, Chris Rock, Linda Fiorentino. Like it is. I will say it's probably when Kevin had the most juice. Because he was coming off of, he did Clerks, which was a hit. He did Mallrats, which was a dud. And then he did Chasing Amy, which was a smash and was, really critically acclaimed. So he came off that. And then while he was doing that, he also produced Good Will Hunting. So he ended up, he's got Damon and Affleck in this. He's got Chris Rock. He's got Alan Rickman. He's got Linda Fiorentino. Plus he's got a lot of his regular performers in it. And, it's a big, grand, sweeping kind of epic story, that is sort of veiled thinly as a road trip movie from Chicago to New Jersey, right? So
yep, it's got the poop demon in it too,
and it does have one of the most spectacularly disgusting special effects things ever put to film. The Golgotham, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Of course, being the person I am, I'm like, I was going to scroll through this trailer. There you go. Salma Hayek. Time code 125. And pro tip for those of you on the web, your keyboard, the period goes forward one frame and the comma goes back one frame. So there you go.
Are you watching it frame by frame there? I mean,
frame by frame. You can go frame by frame, my friend.
Yes, there's a very memorable Salma Hayek scene in that movie. She plays an interesting character, and of course we forgot to mention Canada's own Alanis Morissette also has a pretty memorable role in that, as does the icon George Carlin. So yeah, it's a great movie. I've always loved it since the day we first saw it, and it's nice that it's going to start hopefully a new generation of fans will get a chance to be exposed to it.
All right, let's wrap it up here, Jaime.
There's a brand new Superman trailer. It's kind of an extended edition of what we've seen before. So you'll see some things the same, but we get to see more of Superman being rescued by Crypto, being taken into the Fortress of Solitude.
More realistically rescued by Crypto, I might say, though.
of how rambunctious a puppy might be. Yeah. So this one broke news just before we started recording because, I shouldn't complain. Usually these happen right after we finish recording. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, usually drop Friday morning and we all curse ourselves.
Yeah. Well, so Keen also should get a nod for posting this in our Slack channel too, just before we started recording. Yep. Cool. Looks good. Keen says he's going to watch it. He's interested now.
That was it? That was
and that was Alan Tudyk's voice as the robots, right?
Yeah, they still haven't told us if that's Cal-X, but yeah.
Oh, Cal-X, what, the robot?
The robot, yeah. They in the first trailer, in the first teaser trailer, it looked, because you see him sort of mourning over a robot, and they still haven't confirmed the identity if that's supposed to be.
I thought he did say Cal-X or something like that. When
did he? Okay, so
I thought I heard that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But I thought he said Kal-El, and I thought, what did he say? But I think it was Cal-X night. You say that.
Cal-X, yeah.
Cool.
All kinds of deep cuts for big nerds like me.
Yeah, definitely. So that brings us to the main part of the show, which we're talking about something we're watching these days, and there's no Star Trek, there's no Star Wars, so I guess we'll just have to settle for Daredevil, Born Again, Season 1, Episode 7, Art for Art's Sake. And so let's dig in.
Yeah, this was the follow-up to the second of the two episodes they dropped last week, because we did get a double dip last week. This one is a follow-up to the second part, which introduced us to the serial killer / artist Muse. And here we get a little bit more into the, how is Matt going to stop this serial killer? Because last week he chose to save the little girl over capturing the bad guy, which is something heroes do. And here we sort of see him sort of re-embracing his vigilante lifestyle. Last week it was sort of impulsive. It was, I got to put the suit back on because I got to save this little girl. And here we see him, taking a big swig of the Kool-Aid and knowing that he has to do this. And even, we hear him cautioned at one point by his business partner, Cherry, the former cop, who's like, dude, are you sure you want to be doing this? Like, why are you going back out there and risking your life again? Like, it's scary.
Well, especially since 47 is threatening him, that if we're threatening any vigilante, right? So
yeah, and it's as it has been all season. There's this whole juxtaposition of the two of them, back and forth. What's going on in Fisk's life. He, hears that Daredevil has made this appearance to stop Muse, and he takes that as a green light to, hey, if he's going to do his thing, then I can do my thing. So he's creeping darker and darker back into his world of organized crime and, betrayal. Last week we saw him beat the living tar out of the woman or the man that was sleeping with his wife. And this one, he's been having these sort of thorn in his side as people aren't treating his sort of quiet ownership of the criminal empires with the due respect he thinks it deserves. And so we see that sort of play out in this episode.
There's a bit of payoff on that one, right? So do you think the wife meeting the guy that doesn't want to cooperate was part of Fisk's plan?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Feels like it, especially with the way it ends.
Yeah. Yeah, especially since she sets the guy up, right, to walk into the trap.
Yep. Yeah, I think we're seeing her realize that, I think she too is realizing that Fisk is back, that the Kingpin is back, not just Wilson, and that she better get herself in line, otherwise she may soon find one between her forehead. So, it was
interesting too, like the sort of the Matt's trying to figure out who the next victim of the killer will be, and then we also see that the character, I've forgotten his name, who is Muse, is in therapy with Matt's girlfriend, right?
Yeah, Bastion.
And Bastion, and when he's in Daredevil and she's semi-conscious, he calls her by her name, and I was waiting for him to say, "I'm Batman," when she asks about it, right?
Yeah. It's funny because last week you had sort of said, we don't really know who Muse is, but they did show in the previously on portion, that scene, it genuinely could have been a forgotten scene if you didn't know what you were supposed to be looking for. But there is a scene from
this book signing,
early episode where somebody comes up and says, like, "I'm troubled, I need your help." Again, for those of us who've read the books, we knew that was Bastion, but it definitely came back around here where we see Bastion sort of slowly becoming unhinged while talking with her and turning into Muse and letting that sort of darker side of himself take over.
Yeah, there had to be a tie in there, because I thought when that person went to get the book signing, there's always some connection to a stalker or whatever, that's a sort of a plot line that's played out with people getting their book signed, kind of thing. So I was waiting for something to come out of that. I didn't put match 2 1 and 1 and get 2 out of it though at the time. But
given that Jaime wasn't here last week, I'm really curious. Jaime, what did you think of Muse as a bad guy, particularly in this season that is so sort of tied together between Kingpin and Daredevil?
I mean, I don't know that there was a ton of characterization. I'm not familiar with the character from the comics. I don't know there was a ton of characterization there, but I think it's sufficient because you really need somebody to drive a wedge between, Fisk, Kingpin, the duality there, and Murdoch, Daredevil, the duality there, right? And we see that come to a head here where, the problem is resolved, but starts a whole new problem with, a convenient story to avoid the story of the vigilante saving the day, where the ineffective mayor and his, what's my quote here? "You are the thin, dark line protecting the city," didn't. They failed at it. And arguably, Daredevil coming in to save the day, and I believe Heather is her name, that, did the right thing that you normally end up yelling at in the movie theater of like, just shoot him oh, good, you did. She took him out. I mean, she kind of saved it, because I was like, man, as soon as you figured out it was him, I know he's squatting. It's a little difficult. Here's the thing, right? I'm going to make a Cobra Kai reference here, or a Karate Kid movie thing, right? Man can't stand, he can't fight. Man can't breathe, he can't fight. Man can't see, he can't fight. So clearly, you got to try to do something like that. Somewhere in there is like, you hit him in the balls, man can't fight, and it's not right as hit him in the balls, take out his eyes. One of those two things, not turn and run. That's the worst possible option. And she gets knocked out, but she redeems herself by eliminating the problem.
And sometimes it helps if you put, I don't know, say 5 or 6 rounds in his chest.
Yeah, there was no chance of like, maybe it's a flesh wound. Nope, she just unloaded there.
There was a lot of blood spraying off of him at that point. Yeah, it seemed like a permanent issue.
Yeah, they're coming back from that. What did you think about the other 2 episodes, though? I mean, the bank one, and since you weren't here.
Yeah. I do agree with the sort of over-the-top nature of the Irish crew on St. Paddy's Day. That's, I guess, on brand, on theme for Matt Murdock's character. And I think, Jonathan, you had said it was like from the movies, not the movies, the comics. There is a gang that is, this is based on. But I thought it was pretty fun. They tied in Ms. Marvel, I think, nicely. We got to see a little bit of there and see how far Matt is willing to go as Matt before finally saying, all right, I still got to become Daredevil, right? Like he puts on, some coverings and takes off the sunglasses so it's less obvious that this is a blind person kind of thing. Like, let me just go assault this guy effectively as Daredevil just with a makeshift mask. And so the natural thing to go into the actual, all right, Daredevil has to return sort of thing. This isn't necessarily completion of his arc, but it's a bringing him back, the born again sort of nature of like he had trauma in the very first episode, gave up the mask, and now has to put it back on because there's kind of no choice. In parallel, we see Mayor Fisk tried to give up the Kingpin and like keeps finding reasons to go back to it. Right, he's getting pulled back into his old life. It's a very parallel to Matt Murdock getting pulled back into his old life.
Yeah, and I think it was a sort of throwback to like it was kind of like the early Spider-Man where he's wearing a hoodie or that kind of thing. But didn't Matt Murdock before, in the beginning of Daredevil, the series, didn't he used to just wear black, like a...
Yeah, he was just wearing like dark clothes and a sort of a dark wrap around his face. Yeah.
Yeah, until he found someone who would make a costume for him, right?
Yeah.
Or armor.
Well, because at one point he gets stabbed, right? So they're like, hey, maybe consider wearing some body armor of some kind. Although, like all superheroes, hey, what if you left your clearly distinctive chin sticking out?
Yeah.
I mean,
we identified him by his dental records, yeah.
Yeah.
Kudos to Matt when Heather's like, I'm kind of figuring things out. You got bruises, like, it's time for sweet lovin'. Maybe I'll just distract you a little bit here. Forget the bruises, lady.
Yeah. Good plot twist. Yeah, no, I think it was an entertaining episode. I mean, they kind of have been building towards this Muse Daredevil confrontation over several episodes, right? Like dropping in little hits in here and there. And I think we saw Muse at the end of one episode as we fade to black kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. So Muse has kind of been the motivating force for getting Matt back into the uniform, which is good because I was a little concerned a few episodes in that we weren't going to get him back in Red until the end of the season, maybe. So now, obviously, we're starting to build further momentum towards the Kingpin and Matt conflict, although there's only 2 more episodes to go. Now, we know that they've already got a season 2 coming next year, but it'll be interesting to see where they decide to conclude this. Are we going to actually see these two, reconnect in conflict? Or is it going to be a proxy fight? Like, what is going to be the nature of the fight between the two of them?
Yeah. And Fisk knows that, I mean, clearly, because they had that first meeting he knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Was that it? Okay.
Now, a word from our sponsor. Now, back to the show.
Let's move on to the watch list.
Quick.
I know. Watch list time. Jaime, hit us up.
I'm actually not sure. I think this one was indirectly covered by the Lumen Terminal.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because this is the video that was in the Lumen Terminal. And I talked a little bit about it, but
right. So we can skip that one.
No, go ahead.
Oh well, if you have not seen,
I didn't put the link to this this video in here like you've got. So
okay, so it's entirely plausible that people saw the Apple Store Lumen Terminal, but didn't click through and see the behind the Mac editing severance. It's a nice little 11-minute. How did they do this sort of thing? Of course, showing off some of the Apple devices, but pretty kind of neat to see how things like music choices make a big difference to the mood and how they decided certain things were going to be a certain way. I think pretty well done. And spoilers, if you somehow missed our previous episodes where that's talked about, you're going to be heavily spoiled for season 2. So you might want to watch that first before you watch this.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What else is on your watch list there, Jaime?
I've been watching, I think we're up to episode 3, if I'm up to date, on The Studio on Apple TV+. This is the Seth Rogen comedy series.
Yeah. Where
he plays a newly anointed studio exec who loves movies and says, I think my job is to ruin them. I'm worried that my job is to ruin them. And, after the first 3 episodes, I'm like, he's kind of right. He's trying to do the right thing, but by golly, he just keeps falling into these traps of of the things that we all hear, even on this show, complain about. Like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the studio did this crazy thing. Why did they do that? That ruins the whole thing. Why? Oh, well, a studio note. There's claims that studio notes have made some movies better. I'm not going to say it never has, but it's a very bad batting average. It's usually some dumb thing. And so this is really well done. I've been enjoying it. They're pretty breezy. And if you were curious on how this sort of came together, how this got made, there's a link here to a Variety article on how this came together from Seth Rogen's history in Hollywood. In fact, here's the title of the Variety article: Seth Rogen torches Hollywood, how the Sony hack, the Green Hornet, and virtue signaling inspired his showbiz satire, The Studio.
I saw an interview with Seth Rogen on TV the other day, and they were asking about some of the people that he's referencing in this show real. He says, well, in fact, the guy somebody actually did say to him, I think my job is to ruin movies. And at the interview, I can't remember if it was Colbert or Kimmel or whatever, but they asked him who that was, and he named the guy. Like, he said, yeah, he totally just dropped the guy's name. I don't remember the name, but apparently it's a well-known, this guy he knows now that he's actually being portrayed by Seth Rogen. I think it's funny.
Yeah, there's been a bunch of different pieces about, some of the inspiration for this, and apparently the character played by Catherine O'Hara is very much modeled after Amy Pascal, who used to be the head of Sony. And of course, her downfall came when Seth was working on The Interview, and The Interview led to the North Korean hacking, which led to the release of information, which ended up being an embarrassing scandal for Sony, and ended up with Amy losing her job. But then she had this new life that she's found as, one of the best producers in all of Hollywood. So, but apparently for people who are in the know, I've read a few pieces saying like that is an uncanny copy of exactly what Amy Pascal is like. And I'm like, that's pretty funny, because obviously that's somebody who Seth would have worked with a lot, working with Sony over the years. So I really loved it. I thought the first episode was good, but it definitely felt like kind of piloty. But the second episode with Sarah Polley and the trying to capture the light and the one shot and everything I'd laughed my butt off. That was so funny. So yeah, I think it's a good show. I wonder if it's good for everybody, or if it's good if you have to be a bit of a movie nerd and a bit of a Hollywood follower to get more out of this. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it certainly is in our wheelhouse because we know a fair amount of what's going on here. I think it certainly enhances that.
We've seen Mel Brooks movies before.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I do think it's certainly helped by some of the portrayals. So I'm kind of curious for somebody who maybe picked this up and isn't really into the inside baseball that goes on in Hollywood. I think some of the portrayals, like for Catherine Hahn's marketing character is humorous to me, just like aggressively brand corp movie marketing type person.
Yeah she's way over the top, isn't she?
All right, well, I saw this Black Mirror season 7 trailer on IMDb the other day, and I think it was the last who's the one that played in Penguin, the lead woman. Help me now.
Oh, yeah, I know who you mean. Kristen Milioti.
From How I Met Your Mother.
Oh.
She plays in the last season. There was a sort of space fantasy TV show that she gets trapped into by her boss.
Yep.
That ship goes on to another adventure in this one, and there's a bunch of some big names showing up in this trailer. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to Black Mirror season 7. They kind of just drill again. It's a Netflix thing, so they drop them all at once, and that's the way it is, right? So looking forward to that.
Do you know what the release date is?
It's April-ish, I want to say. It's soon. But the other thing is I was just happened to be over on Disney and saw the new on Disney, The Predator, and I hadn't seen The Predator, and I didn't realize The Predator was from 2018, but I watched it, and it is basically sort of another version of the Predator story, where the predators are coming here to hunt humans. This one is they've taken it to the next level kind of thing, and these people, these army guys, kind of discover the Predator, and they start. So it blows up real good. If you're into the Aliens Predator universe, this is a good movie. I thought it was probably 3.5 stars, maybe 3 stars at the minimum. Typical. And Olivia Munn, surprisingly, who used to be a TV talk show host on G-Force, I think.
Yeah, G-Force TV. That's right. Attack of the Show.
Yeah, so Attack of the Show. That's it. Yeah, she's now a movie star, which I think was part of her plan. But she plays the female lead in this one, and it's pretty good movie. And the guys who play it's a bunch of army guys who are on their way to detention because they're all a little loose, right? So. A lot of fun, in terms of their portrayal. But yeah, it blows up real good, by the way, of course. And then I stumbled across this one on Blue Sky. Somebody was reading this book, and I don't know.
Oh, I've seen these.
I don't know if there's two books. This is the sequel to another book, but they're written as children's books, and they're sold on Amazon as children's books. But as you read the copy in the books, you kind of have to wonder. You could read this to your kid and they wouldn't, I don't know if you ever remember, I probably asked you guys this in the past, but do you know what they did a survey of the most popular toys that kids play with, right? And it's like a ball, a stick, a box, right? And a piece of string. Those are like the, and a wheel, I think. Those are like the it's not, the Fisher-Price this or that, or the Barbie that, or something else. The name of the book is, I'm just going to read some of the pages from this book, but Do You Want to Play with My Box? Right? And hi, Sally, two boys come along. Hi, Sally, can we play with your box? And she says, no, thank you, no boys. I'd rather just play with myself. And then another boy's like, please, Maria, I'm begging you. Right? And all the boys ever want to do is play with their balls, right? And then another kid says, "Hey, maybe I can come in the back door," right? And of course, she says, "Absolutely not." So, I mean, tongue firmly planted in cheek. I haven't looked at the "Do You Want to Play with My Balls" book, but yeah, these are clearly not written as intended. But I'm surprised that they're not flagged. And they're completely innocent, except for the fact of all the innuendos, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's actually a bit of a genre of those, and you're right, they do pop up on social media. People will be reading them to you and trying not to laugh as they do it. So there was another one that I saw that was something about something about Bush. There's one about Bush. There's a few different sort of themed ones. I put one into our chat here, which is my favorite one that's been done so far, which is called Hookers and Blow Save Christmas. And it's about a tow truck and a snowplow named Hookers and Blow. But if you read the story, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like this, but we always wanted to do a book on More Than Just Cold Call. O is for optionals. We just never got around to doing it. But which has to do with coding. But I also want to talk about, so you guys kind of mentioned One Take, and I saw a trailer clip of the studio where there's a scene where Seth Rogen's driving a car and he's talking to somebody else, as the typical kind of driving through the studio lot, driving the car, parks the car, gets out of the car, and the shot is done in what they call a one take, where the camera is actually on the car, and then as they step out of the car, the cameraman moves back with the thing and follows them into the building, and everybody's like, oh my god, what are they hanging onto the front of the thing? And Seth Rogen replied in the tweet, no, the camera's held on to the hood of the car with magnets, right? And then I saw an interview with Stephen Graham, who I've been watching since, I think, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch and a few other things. He's become quite a movie star in as a British person. Like, he's in a lot of shows. He was in the Scorsese film about the people in Leonardo DiCaprio movie with in New York, Gangs of New York, I think it was called. Anyway, so but in the interview, he talks about this new show called Adolescence, which I saw the trailer for, and I thought, I don't know if I want to go down that road and check out this story. But he talks about how the fact that there's 4 episodes, and all 4 episodes are done in one take.
Yeah.
So it's like watching a play.
Drones apparently at times to get these like perfect one shots.
And they have the scenes where they're going up a stairwell, like a winding stairwell, and you see there's all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. The cameraman walks in and follows the actor by raising his hands above his head, and then another cameraman above grabs the camera and continues the shot. And like you said, there's scenes where they're in a school, they go through all the classrooms, they're jumping out windows and chasing kids down alleyways and stuff like that. And then at the end of that sort of session, they hook the camera up to a drone and it flies over the city, like over houses and houses and houses and down into a car park where this person who was murdered is murdered, right? And I mean, that's the first thing. So first of all, I highly recommend, just from the point of view, into any kind of movie taking or movie making, it's a phenomenal movie to watch and just see how well it's not it's not a gimmick, right? It actually does make the movie really kind of cool. I mean, we've seen this in Children of Men. I mean, it goes way back to like the 30s. Alfred Hitchcock did a one-take movie, or a lot of one-takes in it. So it's kind of an interesting movie format, but it's hugely, like, I think it's definitely worthwhile watching, just from the point of view of the amazingness. But the other side of the story is that it's about a boy who admittedly does kill a girl. There's no spoilers there. You find that out within the first few minutes, right? Like a 13-year-old who kills another 13-year-old, and that's not uncommon. It happens all the time. But what's interesting about that, and I think from a technology point of view, and this, I don't know if I should spoil this or not. What do you think?
I'd say not, because this is still, some people are still coming around to it, but...
Okay, I'm going to give you the spoiler warning right now. If you don't want to hear what I'm going to say, skip ahead 5 minutes. But I think this is super important, especially if you're parents of young children, even university age kids, because he's basically bullied by this girl in Instagram. With emojis. So, I mean, it's news to me. I guess I get to be the old, okay boomer guy in the room, but her responses and that's the motivation, right? For this whole thing. But yeah, it's a really good psychological drama, kind of thing, like how it affects the whole community and kind of stuff. That's what the movie's about. But yeah, I thought the thing about the Instagram thing was hugely eye-opening.
Yeah, I mean, bullying is online bullying and cyberbullying is an epidemic, and this is obviously an extreme portrayal of the reactions, but it's not an isolated one. Yeah. I'm in the same boat as you, Tim. I heard quite quickly after it dropped that Adolescence. I heard people talking about it on sort of some of the Hollywood blogs and stuff that I was following. People were like, "Oh my God, this is so good, so good, so good." And just like you, I looked at it and was like, I don't think I'm in an emotional place that I want to watch this. But I must admit, my curiosity level was high. I watched the trailer for it and was like, God, it does look great. But the subject matter really just hits a little too hard. So I just haven't not felt comfortable watching it yet. But it does sound like it was excellently made. Yeah,
it's pretty cool. All right, over to you, Jonathan.
Yeah, so 2 things I have caught up with. So I started watching the HBO Max series Hacks, which has been around for a few years and has won a number of awards, and it's always been on my to-do list. I like Gene Smart, and I thought, I should sit down and watch that because I knew the 4th season's coming up, and I thought, well, it seems like a good time to catch up. And it's brilliant. It's so good. It's very,
Did you
very
watch
funny.
all 4 seasons at once?
Well, it's three seasons live. Season 4 starts in about 2 weeks.
Yeah, I watched part of the first season. I just fell off my schedule, but yeah, I've been meaning to go back.
I really, really, really liked it. So it stars Jean Smart, of course, who's been, in everyone's life forever. She's been, a successful actress.
Designing women, yeah.
Since the 70s, 80s. And she's still fabulous and she's still hilarious. And she's co-starring with a woman named Hannah Einbinder, who apparently this was her first acting role. She was a writer and did stuff. And she's incredible. I'm absolutely smitten with this young woman. She's so good. And it's basically about this sort of, Gen Z person who's writing for this boomer who's trying to sort of revive her comedy career. And the first season's really enjoyable, but as you continue sort of watching, especially the first two seasons are kind of one long story. And then season 3 is kind of a little bit separated from that. But it's terrific. I really enjoyed it. It has nothing to do with science fiction or anything else, but I just I wanted something that was light and fun, and it's fun and funny and smart and witty and well written and well performed, and I could not recommend it highly enough. If you're looking for something that's going to make you think about the way that we treat people in society and aging and women, and some of these great topics about legacy and all these different things. Very, 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 very good show. Really liked it, and highly recommend. And really looking forward to season 4 now that I'm through it. The other thing that I finally sat down and watched, so here in Canada, I assume everywhere else, Amazon Prime dropped Wicked Part 1 this week. Why
Part 1?
So it's a 2-part story. They did not advertise it as that. They just called it Wicked. But I knew very quickly. So one of my friends who had seen the play or the musical.
Carol's seen the play with Justin.
Yeah, he and his partner had gone to go see it, and he said, I was sitting there, and it's long. It's like 2.5 hours, and he's like, it's chugging along, and it's really, really long, and he's like, there's no way that they're going to be able to finish this. What are they doing? And then all of a sudden, it just stops with "to be continued," and he's like, nowhere in any of the literature does it say this is part 1 of 2. He's like, I felt absolutely ripped off, and I could see why people would get ticked off. I had at least had that knowledge going in, so I knew that it was only going to be a part 1. So obviously this was, it was nominated for Best Picture. It got nominated for the Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, costumes, the whole 9 yards at the Oscars. Nominated for a pile of stuff. Didn't really win much of anything, but it was considered one of the movies of the year. And especially for, musical theater nerds, it was a massive event that this had been turned into a movie. I think it was good. I think, I appreciate why people really liked it as far as, some of the things they were able to do with it. It's big and it's bright and it's, the costumes, the choreography, the performances, I will admit, are quite good. Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande in particular are quite good in their roles. I can't say it was 100% for me, so I don't want to. I'm not going to diminish it just because it's not my cup of tea. It is one of those movies where it's not Evita. They don't sing every single word that they're saying, so it's sort of dips back and forth between like they break into song and then they go back to normal. There is a lot of sort of random dance numbers and stuff like that. So your mileage varies depending on whether or not you like that type of storytelling. Again, they didn't really advertise it as a musical either, although if you've seen the play,
they break into song in The Wizard of Oz too, right? So
they do. But this is it's definitely another level up. And again, amazing choreography, beautiful dancing performances. The fact that both Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande are very, very talented singers and performers shines through. So, that's definitely impressive. But it's a weird storyline. The storyline is essentially, it's the origin story of the Wicked Witch of the West and Glinda the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz. And the fact that, they were friends once and sort of tells you that sort of backstory. But it kind of takes a bit of the juice away from The Wizard of Oz as far as like some of the some of the storylines there. I mean, it does, you know, I don't know. Prequels. It's a prequel, you know, like that's the problem is that it's sort of telling you a prequel story, and the prequel story is inevitably going to run into prequel problems. It does suffer from prequel problems. There are some prequel problems with this movie. Even for me, who I would say at best is a casual, I mean, Wizard of Oz is an all-time classic. I've probably seen it at least a dozen times in my life because it was a thing that you did when there was nothing else on television as a child. But I don't know. I'd be curious to hear the two of you watch it and tell me what you think too, because it was really good. I think, you know, I understand why it got all the acclaim it did, but at the same time, ultimately, it felt a little bit kind of unsatisfying because it doesn't end. It's not a story. It's kind of part of a story, and it doesn't. It does kind of try and undo some of the knots that are tied up in Wizard of Oz. So yeah, I liked it. I would definitely say it's well worth a watch. The two leads are terrific. If you like a good musical number with great choreography, it's amazing. The costumes, the sets, all that is through the roof amazing. Even the CGI. You know, one of the things from the movie is the animals can talk just as they could in the original. Instead of having, you know, Bert Lahr as a talking lion man in the original, it's supposed to be like a lion, right? And so yeah, it's got the talking animals. The CGI is pretty good. Like no knocks on that either. So yeah, it's good. I would say if you're looking for something, it's good. Know that you're getting yourself into an investment of 2.5 hours plus another 2.5 hours to come later this year. So you have to know what you're biting off. But yeah, it's absolutely worth a watching, especially if you don't mind a musical.
So she's the Wicked Witch of the West. Do they explain what happens to the Wicked Witch of the East, who gets Dorothy lands her house on her?
They have not gotten into that yet. But it is, I mean, okay. it didn't, you know, not to get too far into spoilers, but the movie basically starts with the news that the Wicked Witch of the West is dead and was killed by having a bucket of water thrown at her, and then goes back and flashes back to like, what was it like when she was younger with growing up with...
Oh, I see. So it's an origin story kind of.
So it's an origin story of the Wicked Witch of the West and her relationship and friendship with Glinda the Good Witch when. So it kind of starts starts after the events of Wizard of Oz and then flashes back to the beginning of their friendship and their childhood and stuff like that. So yeah, it's well worth a watch. Highly, highly entertaining. Just understand that it is a to be continued. And if you don't like musicals, you will not have a good time because there's a lot of singing and dancing. So
well, there's nothing wrong with a good musical.
Nope.
All right. Yeah. So a couple of things before we wrap up here. One is that Black Mirror comes out April 10th. Thanks to Jonathan for posting that, I think.
Yep.
And the other thing about Adolescence, which I didn't mention, is that Faye Marsay is in it. She played Vel Sartha in Endor.
Oh, and she's great in that.
And she's also the waif, the one who teaches Maisie Williams' character to
the one who stabs her repeatedly in the stomach and somehow doesn't kill her.
Yeah, that one, yeah. Yeah, the waif. She plays the character, the waif, in Game of Thrones. So, yeah, and she's been in a few other movies, too, which I probably should watch, too. But anyway, well, I guess that's it for another week. So, hey, Jonathan, if people want to get in touch with you, where would they find you?
Well, I'd start with Blue Sky or Instagram. I'm at JPK News, or you can find me on YouTube at youtube.com/@JPK.
All right. And Jaime, if people want to get in touch with you, where would they find you?
I'm on Instagram as @DevWithAHair.
All right. Well, my name is Tim Mitra, TIMMITRA, on the Blue Sky, on the Mastodon, and other services, but those two will do. Those are probably the ones I check the most. So, and Threads. I check Threads too. But yeah, so until next time, we'll see you in the future. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
You've been listening to the Spotcast Podcast. If you want to find out more about the podcast or see the episode show notes, visit the Spotcast website at spotcast.com. If you have feedback or questions, you can get in touch with us on the website. If you like the show, please consider recommending us to a friend, writing a review on iTunes, or pledging any amount at patreon.com/spotcast. You can find details on how to help us on our website, spotcast.com/sponsor us. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the future.
I think your son has arrived upstairs. I hear him stomping around up there.
Yes, thanks for taking him in.
No, Jaime's son.
Oh, okay. Well, how did Pollo get across the border?
I don't know.
You put him in a FedEx box and send him over?
Last shipment of fentanyl, I think, right?
That's right. We do have that huge flood of fentanyl coming from the United States to Canada. You just put them back in one of the return boxes.
That's true. Yeah. Should return it for refund, maybe. Yeah. That's the best thing about tariffs. You don't get a refund on a tariff if you decide to change your mind.
It's true.
Same thing with duties. You don't get your duties back.
I will say, since I moved down here, I understand that I'm getting more locally sourced products. Makes sense, obviously.
Yeah.
Some stuff legitimately tastes different. The milk down here tastes different. I don't know what.
Oh, different than Ontario milk?
Yep.
Yeah. I noticed that too when I used to travel around. That you go to Boston and you have breakfast or whatever, and it's just slightly different. Yeah.
Yep. And the other one I've noticed
even water.
Oh yeah, for sure. The other thing I've noticed is that the chicken, the locally sourced chicken that I'm getting here, is like way less. It's way less. It seems to be way less like steroid infused. They're not quite as big, and they're definitely more tender when you cook them. I was like, that's interesting. I wonder.
Yeah, because they run around like real chickens are supposed to, right?
I wonder. I don't know. Like, again, I'm still shopping at grocery stores. I'm not that far into the woods, but like, it's just interesting to know that, I wonder if that has something to do with the farming practices down here or provincial regulations or what those factors are. But it could just be that I'm breathing fresh air and everything tastes a little different. I don't know, but it's been a weird thing.
If you ever done a morning commute on the QEW, you used to see those like trailers full of pigs and chickens on their way. Just like 5,000 chickens in one trailer. Like it's like ridiculous, right? Yeah. And there's no way they would have that volume of food goods where you are, right? Like there just aren't that many people consuming them, right? So obviously they're going to be treated a little differently, right? Yeah,
we've talked about it. There's less people in the entire province of New Brunswick than there are in the city of Mississauga. So yeah. It's and obviously a much larger geographical mass. So yeah, I guess these things are understandable, but it's very interesting.
Yeah. You got to go a long way. You got to make sure your gas is full in your tank when you drive around New Brunswick.
Yes, that is not a bad idea. Although that being said, I'm starting to appreciate how nice it is when somebody says like, "Oh, it takes you 2 hours to get there." That's how long it takes you to get there because there's no traffic.
Yeah.
If they're it's 2 hours to get to St. John, it's 2 hours. There's no traffic.
But you know what? It took me 2 hours to drive to Indira's house yesterday,
and that's in the same city.
Yeah, well, because of all that crazy snow we had yesterday. I don't know if you heard about that.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
And today it's 18 degrees. We get the 18 or the snow?
The snow.
Oh, yeah. Tomorrow, you're supposed to get the heat tomorrow? It was like summer today, literally.
Yeah, Sherry said the same thing. Apparently
18 degrees is like 68, something like that, Jaime. But yeah, really and of course I listen to Siri. Like I normally like to take my time and go along Davenport, which kind of crawls. It's an old Indian trail. And it just goes across the city kind of thing. Whereas, Siri took me down to the lakeshore to get on the highway. And the times that I've not listened to Siri, it's cost me a lot of time, right? So I got down to the corner of Sherbourne and Lakeshore, and I drove 20 feet in 20 minutes.
Woof.
And I said, screw this, got in the right-hand lane, which had nobody in it, and went, because it was an exit to go north, right? So I just went north up to Davenport and across the city. And I still got to Indira's place in about the same amount of time, right? But yeah, it was we were supposed to go to the bank before 5, and I got there like 5:30. I was so annoyed. But yeah, so I would love it if somebody could say to me, it takes 30 minutes to drive from one part of the city to the other, because it just doesn't here, right?
Yeah, I had to drive down again to St. John this week for I had to do a presentation to our organization's executives that I'm working on. So I had to go down on Monday after work, and it was gross here weather-wise in the morning, but it was warming up as the course of the day went on. So by the time I got in my car at 4:30, it was fine. But I looked at the, time of arrival, and, it was basically like, if you did the math of like this many kilometers an hour, that distance, no, they're not factoring any kind of traffic into this at all. It's a pretty bizarre world to be in, especially after having spent so much of my life in one of the worst congested areas in North America. So
it's one of the reasons why I like to work from home, and that's one of the reasons when I came back to Ontario is I said to Carol, I want to live within 15 minutes of work.
Yeah.
I had done the an hour to work in the morning and an hour to work at home. It was just nuts. I'm sure Jaime's probably experienced that too, though, in Seattle and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you've had mostly
life's too short.
You've had mostly working remotely jobs, haven't you, Jaime?
Recently, yes. But, it certainly had actually, let me see if we can do the math here. So since 2016 remote, so the past 9 years, and then you would go back 12 years. So yeah, I've had the majority of my time driving in somewhere, usually in increasingly terrible traffic as the metro has grown.
Yeah,
so I'm really glad to have missed out on the last 9 years of that, but it's still troublesome anytime I have to get into an office for some reason.
Yeah, it's just the little stuff. It's like, oh, and then I have a doctor's appointment. It's like, I need to leave this huge bubble of time to factor in for the unpredictability of mass traffic and all the stuff that comes with that, and weather and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our organization is a fully remote one, which was one of the reasons why I was ready to move here. To go from one that was hybrid, it was hybrid, and then it was obviously around the pandemic was fully remote, and then went back to a hybrid model. This one decided, you know what, it's just not feasible to continue to expect people to be in this office. So they've allowed people the flexibility, and basically their parameters are you have to be within the province while you're doing your work. So the number of colleagues that I have that are like, I love my work-life balance because, I can live anywhere I want. I don't have to pay the, higher rents and higher mortgages and all that stuff to live next to a city. I can live wherever I choose. It's downright hospitable. Hopefully more organizations come around to that way of thinking, although I know the U.S. federal government just rescinded all that stuff, which, I guess to each their own, that they feel like they're not getting their money's worth of their investment in their employees. But yeah, I think it's very, very healthy, and our work culture is terrific. And basically it means that, about every 6 weeks I'm expected to be in some place where I have to do, a bit longer commute, but that's because of my choice to live where I choose to live. And, and the company pays for that travel time, and, it's terrific.
Yeah. No, it sounds good. Yeah, I don't mind the odd travel here and there, like it's, gets you out of the house kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Literally.
They have a big IT department, just say it, Tim.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. They won't hire me.
Just lie about your age.
Yeah. No, that's not the issue. Anyway, we should probably pack it in to go say hello to your son and stuff.
Well, apparently the coyotes are, because my dogs are going nuts, so I should deal with that too. So next week I think is still just Daredevil.
Hang on before you go. Keen wanted us to do the animated series, Star Trek.
The original?
Yeah.
Oh, God bless.
God bless. Is that good or bad?
I mean, have you seen it recently? I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, and then I watched it when.
The music, that is in my head. Anytime anybody mentions the animated series, that that sort of stress music that they have in there has been playing in my head since the 70s.
My brother, when I was a kid, Jaime, do you know what a ViewMaster is? I assume you've used a ViewMaster. Yeah. So he had this super cool ViewMaster from the late 1970s that was like, it was a double-sized ViewMaster, and it had two discs. It had the picture disc, and then it also had an audio disc built into it that was almost like a spinning record. And you would put this thing into this special ViewMaster, and when you click the thing down, not only would it show you the image from things, but it would play a little bit of dialogue or music or whatever it was on there. So we had ones that had discs from like the original Batman 66 series, and one of the ones that we had was a series of discs from that Star Trek animated series. So exactly what you're describing, Tim. Every time I see certain clips, it just that sound from the Viewmaster clicks into my head, and I immediately am transported back. Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do that, I'm game. You know me, I'm a glutton for punishment. I'll watch anything for the fans.
I was just saying, like, Jaime and I were talking about it, but I guess you missed the thread. But
yeah, it's available on Paramount Plus with a weirdly lopsided first and second season. Let's see, I had the numbers here. It's not an equal number. What is it?
Isn't there? I thought there was only one season of the animated series.
No, there's apparently two. But it's like a.
You have the discs.
I do. That's the last time I watched it. Was way back then.
Yeah, I think it was on. I thought it was on Netflix for a while too.
It was, yeah. I mean, it's made its way around the streaming services. Before Paramount established itself its own service, they were kind of doing everything. Yeah, so that's why I'm mixed up. So it's listed as 2 seasons, but it's 16 episodes is the first season and 6 for the second. So yeah, it's only 22 episodes, and they're 23 minutes apiece. They're standard television seasons. So yeah, I mean, if you guys want to do that I'm sure could be something fun to do. I guess the question is, do we want to do that now that like this month is lining up to get busy if we're gonna cover certain things? Because Andor is going to be dropping 3 episodes a week for a month, because that's how they decided they were going to drop it, was 3-hour-long episodes a week for 4 weeks. And then we've also got Doctor Who starting in a week and a half, and we've got Last of Us starting later this month. So if we're going to talk about those things, which I assume we are, it will start to get busy. But obviously, we are doing Trek, so if we want to throw Trek on top of that,
we could just add it in for like next week, like maybe do 2 episodes, and then if we get busy, we skip it and then come back to it later. I mean, yeah, I don't think that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, next week's going to be slow, and then it'll slowly start creeping in as we add in. Over the course of the month, there'll be a few things. Again, those Andors will be a blessing and a curse, because I'm dying to see it, but also 3 hours of Andor every Tuesday before we record on Thursday is going to be a commitment.
Oh yes, I watched. I must have watched the first episode because it's marked as being watched. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because there's some interesting characters introduced in it, but it's and it's pretty Saturday morning.
Races of characters that went on to be absorbed later and all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I'm down. So we want to do the first 2 for next week?
Sure. Yes, I mean.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, we can do that. Mm-hmm.
Alrighty.
All right. Have a good week, guys. Talk to you next week.
Okay, bye.
Talk to you next time.